I'm gonna work off of that. All right. Haha. Well, I just noticed in the chat, you guys, we're not able to see this, so I'm just going to go through it from the top real quick. So what we did is we inputted a few ideas, and it came out with a bunch of stuff. Then we asked it another question. So I didn't ask it a question. I inputted just a bunch of info, and so that's what I was using to prime it. Then we went into starting cookie company involves a lot of steps. So they came up with a whole business plan outline. That's it. And we can then use this business plan outline to give it a little bit more information. That's all we have to do. And we could do this later too. After we ask it a bunch of other questions, hey, let's go back to the business plan outline and let's fill it in with a lot of the new stuff we came up with. So you can constantly create iterations of what you already have too. Now, I need a contract for a wholesaler to sell 1,000 cookies. And I inputted one of my examples of one of my contracts. So I threw that in there. And then after I did that, it says, I can help you modify this contract. And so that's what it did. And it created a whole new contract specifically for this wholesale 1,000 high quality cookies is agreed upon per recipe and packaging. Then I asked, write me a short outline on why our delicious natural cookies are the best. And here's the whole outline. So brief overview, introduction. This is okay, great. Now I need you to fill it in. Now I need you to create the article at 400 words. So now what it's going to do is it's going to create the article, and then I'm going to show you how you can rearrange. Articles are great; they're long, and we can do a whole bunch of stuff with it. And you can see it right away. So I'm going to show you an example of how to change the voice of the actual article and the content itself. You can apply it to any content. I'll show you how to change the tone. Give it a perspective also. That's something really cool. And then also give it a reading level for the type of content. So sometimes you're dealing with like the voice. Voice is very hard to find. So if you're working with just yourself, you can come up with what's your voice pretty easily. But when you're working with a client and you're trying to figure out what is their voice, how do they want to sound, that's a lot of conversation you have over time with them. And then you just take that and you kind of input words that you pick up or all the stuff they say into it, and then be like, please use this as the voice and apply it to this content. And once you kind of have that down, you can even ask GPT, hey, how would you describe that voice? So next time I input it, I can just input that and you'll understand. And then it'll come up with that, save that, and now you have that voice that can be applied to GPT very easily. And you can use it for everything. So right now, we created a whole article. So in the heart of Chicago, Cookies for All has been setting a new standard for delectable treats. Our diverse range of natural cookies has elevated the humble cookie into a sensory delight, all that kind of stuff. So we can do a couple things. Let me show you a voice. Make this a lot more fun. And we'll throw something else in there. And please cite articles of what makes good cookies. So an example of like, okay, you don't want to just create a piece of content, an article, and then, just post it. A better way of doing it is to do this, rearrange the voice, the tone, the perspective. So prime it, ask it all the questions, structure it better, revise it, then ask it to put in citations, like where they got this information from, especially educational stuff. And then after that, the last thing you want to adjust is who's the audience going to be for and what kind of reading level do you want to come across at. So examples would be 4th grade reading level if you want it to be very simple. Another example would be high school, like 12th grade reading level. For the average article is right around 11 or 12th grade reading level. And then just like on the internet. But if you're selling to very high net worth individuals that are very like highly educated and that's your personas, then you want to ask it for a college reading level. or maybe doctorates if you're selling to doctors. You want to speak to them. Like they want to be like, okay, we understand this, but you don't want it too high of a reading level either if it's just a casual read. But if it's something that, you know that these are the kind of things they read and it's very high reading level because you've read them before, then please ask for that. If you need scientific papers or anything, we can change this to be everything. So right now, let's see what they did. So we're the Willy Wonka cookies, and the secret to our scrumptious treats is simple. It's all about top-tier organic, non-GMO ingredients, as Food 52 points out. And if you look down, it has Food 52, the blog, and the citation from that. Let's see if that's a real thing, right? And let's see, it's probably in here somewhere, and you can check it, and you can check your citations to make sure that they're actually going to places. But it gives you the references, which is great. Okay, so we have that. So we're going to say, thank you, because unless there's in case there's an AI uprising, you want to be nice to them. And then the next thing we're going to do is give it a perspective. Now, make sure it's written to people that really love cookies and are obsessed with them. Use a lot of emojis, if I butcher that word, and then the spelling of it. And then we're going to make the reading level a 4th grade. Now, I've heard of people also using this and then throwing it into a paid Grammarly account. And Grammarly AI also just changes the reading level for you and kind of scores it. And if you do use like a paid Grammarly and you put all this content in there, typically it scores pretty high right off the bat, which is really cool. Not in terms of reading level, but in terms of like Grammarly's grammar and spelling score. Hardly ever will you find things that are wrong. So here's an example of a 4th grade reading level and a lot of emojis and fun things. Wow, cookie's awesome. Easy peasy. We use top shelf, all natural ingredients. So if your demographic's going to be younger or just a lower reading level on average, then this might be a good idea. And then we'll do the flip side where we'll do, okay, great. I need this in a scientific paper form. And so now we're going the opposite end of the spectrum, which it's going to go. This paper presents a thorough examination of Cookies for All LLC methodology in producing gourmet cookies. They're all natural ingredients, sustainability practices, and the company's appeal to broad spectrum of consumers. Introduction, founded in, and it's going to do keywords, going to do everything. So, it kind of makes things up if you force it to. So that is something to keep an eye out on. If you're going to ask it, like if you're going to put in your name and ask them to come up with a profile for it, it'll come up with something and it's going to be very confident about it. Just understand that you should read everything before you actually post anything, right? It's kind of like treating it as an intern. If you have an intern and they come to you with something and it's ready to be shown to everybody, you want to read it over before it does. That's all it is. That's the way you should treat it. Now, going off the profile thing, if you want it to actually come up with a profile or something that's factual that kind of you only know, you can flip it and you could ask ChatGPT to ask you questions to fill out a profile on yourself. And as soon as you do that, it's going to start asking you questions. You fill them in the way you want, and then you have it. If you want to create a voice, right, for yourself or somebody else, you can ask GPT-4 to ask you questions as if they were a branding person. And again, that's the perspective thing. Ask it to act as a branding person and ask it to ask you questions to figure out what your company's and your voice is for content. And then you ask it, can you please summarize this? So when I ask you, ChatGPT, how to change the voice of a piece of content that you have produced or have inputted, please make it so that I could just input that content, put in this voice couple sentences, and you'll know that is the voice, and you'll know how to apply it to the content. And then, so that's an example of a way you do that. Now, another way of having them prompt you with questions is if you're coming up with a chat bot for your site for technical support, or just having your clients or customers have questions about things. So it's kind of like an advanced FAQ, right? So the pain about those is you have to come up with all the questions and answers. So you can ask GPT-4 to ask for all those questions. You'll input all the normal answers, or you can even ask GPT to put in all the answers for you. And you just review them. And now you have all the prompts for your whole entire, your whole entire chat support on your site. And speaking of chat support, you can also download GPT and connect it to your website and use that as the actual chat support. And again, same thing, a little bit of prompting, and it knows how to answer most questions and send things. So it's pretty awesome that way. Okay, so we have some of that stuff. Now, from a sales perspective, let's dive into some of that, because I'm sure a lot of people love to see questions around that. Okay, so just going right off the cookie thing. I want to reach out to 1,000 people about or announcing my cookies. And the sale we are having for 10% off for 4th of July. Okay, so I need this to be in a sequence of 3 emails that will go out. Make it fun, and the goal is for them to click on the link to my cookies product page on my website. Yep. So let's do that. And so, okay. So then I asked that question. Now what it's going to do is it's going to come up with 3 emails for me that I can use, or at least I have a framework to get started, and we can revise it and things like that. But I can use for outreach. So either this is going to be to your current customer base, or you have some emails you want to send this out to, or things like that. Like, you receive some emails, verified emails, and you want to send this out to. This is a great way of doing that, right? It's instead of trying to figure out what's the best thing possible, just use GPT for sales. Your 4th of July just got sweeter with cookies for all. Dear recipient's name, pop the fireworks. It's time to celebrate. We're thrilled to announce a star-spangled sale that's going to make your 4th of July holiday even more delicious. Lots of emojis. And if you're into that, if that's your brand, that's awesome. If it's not, you can ask it to take them off. The best part is easy as pie, or she would say cookie. Just click the link below to hop on over to our cookie product page and choose your favorite cookies, because life, liberty, and pursuit of delicious cookies. Stay tuned for more information in our next email. And it kind of tied into the 4th of July kind of stuff, right? Which is awesome. And then it goes into the next one and the next one. And if you have automations and things in place, like a mail merge, such as Mail Meteor, when you're using Google Sheets for emails, you can set this up in there with follow-ups. If they don't click, they get this email, or this email. And this works pretty well to kind of just get people interested. Another thing is communications. So here's an example. I received a bad customer review from someone, and they got a bad batch of cookies. Now, sometimes for customer support and service, you're going to run into bad things that happen, like a cookie. Like I said, someone received a bad batch of cookies. Quality control didn't catch it. It got sent out from production, and now we have to send out a email to kind of ask them to take down a negative review, or to ask them, can we do anything to make it better, and maybe send them out a good cookie batch. So you have someone in charge of this in your company that like, hey, we're going to send this out, we're going to deal with it. And honestly, all workers, everybody, we have so much emotional kind of bandwidth each day, and the amount of energy we have each day. And these kind of things take a big toll. And so how am I going to start this email? What should be in it? How should we do things? And I don't want it to be too cookie cutter. And yeah, no pun intended. And then, so you just do something like this. You ask your workers to, or whoever's dealing with the customer service, like, let's make sure to use ChatGPT because this is going to speed up the process. And it might come up with things that are just so much better than what we can come up with. So again, certainly not an ideal solution. So our sincere apologies and special gesture. Dear customer name, we're extremely disheartened to read about your recent experience with our cookies. At Cookies for All, we take pride in our commitment to providing top quality, delicious cookies, and we're sorry to learn that we fell short of your expectations this time. Please accept our deepest apologies for the substantial batch of cookies we received. Understand how disappointing. As a token of our apology and commitment to you as our valued customer, we would like to offer a new batch of cookies free of charge. We would appreciate another chance to provide you with exceptional cookies you've come to know and love. To accept this offer, please click on the link below, which will guide you to redeem your complimentary batch. A link with that promotional code already in there, and then your feedback's invaluable. High quality cookies and all that kind of stuff. And you can go into, if there's a negative review, you don't want to maybe put it in this one. You want to send them a free cookie batch first, and if they're happy with it, follow up as soon as it gets sent. Take those extra steps and maybe send out that sequence that gets triggered as soon as they receive the cookie batch. Hey, how did it go? Did you receive it? Was it all good? Come up with all of those emails. And then follow-up emails to make sure that they did have a good experience this time, and to ask them to revise their review. So again, this is a pretty good review, pretty good email. Maybe do a little bit of tweaks. And I never asked it for a free batch of cookies, right? I just said I received a bad customer review and they got a bad batch of cookies. So that's pretty cool that it kind of just knows that that's what I'm thinking and that's what should happen next. Again, the AI is just pulling from information all over. All right, so this is kind of diving into communications, right? It's like, okay, great. Okay, so let's do this. Let's do another real life example, which is you just had a client meeting. If you have something like Otter AI or Firefly or some other AI recording tool that you can send with you to any kind of meeting, it'll record everything for you. Once you record it, it should give you some kind of summary. Then you can throw that summary in here and then ask it as a kind of a primer, right? And you could ask it, hey, I just had this meeting with this person. I need to send them a follow-up email about everything we discussed and all my follow-up items I'm promising them. Right. And it's like, oh, that's so awesome that it all did all the recording. You throw it in here and you just click go and then you send it out. Just so you guys know, I did watch it was kind of like a live event and they were showcasing, I think it's on YouTube now. They were showcasing examples of use cases of GPT that might be coming down the line. One of which is the integration between all that. So you don't even have to go from one to the other manually. It would know, you would integrate everything. It would record your conversation. It would come up with a follow-up email. It would go into your CRM, input all the person's information and all the notes that are needed. It would send out that initial email. It would trigger that automation of emails that would come after it. It would, if they subscribed, throw them into a subscription list for your newsletters and any other emails you have. That is kind of what we're looking at for the future. Again, I don't know if the government agencies are going to kind of put a pause on development or AI as a whole is kind of they're talking about, but it's a thing. I saw it in action already. Again, you could probably find it on YouTube somewhere, but that would be great, right? Especially for small businesses. Like it's so expensive to kind of just hire people and get good people and constantly get all those connections is kind of like this work that nobody really wants to do, but needs to be done. It eats up so much time. It'd be great if we could just get all those connections to work together and have that perfect setup. Okay, so we did some legal stuff, some sales kind of sequences, an example of how communicating with people kind of works. Oh, here's and then like I said, I can give you another example of creating that follow-up email after your meeting. So you could do quite a bit with the communication side of things. For the sales for the sales stuff. Let's see. Let's do operations next. So let's say you're running a cookie company, and your operations or workflow is dependent on production. So I need SOPs for my whole customer journey. I have one person who does the sales, one who does fulfillment, and one in the warehouse doing production. I also have a customer service rep who communicates with customers, and a marketing person who takes care of sending things out to market the cookies. I need SOPs for everyone. Okay, so it's like, okay, SOPs would be great because they're guidelines to your workflow, right? Standard operating procedures. So this is something that eventually, like in your business, you're going to have, and you can have too much of this, right? But it's good to have something. That way you know what the workflow is, and you can work out some kinks. So let's see what it comes up with. So for the salespeople, let's see, conduct product research, gather data about consumer product knowledge, customer interaction, sales pitch, close the sale, follow up. So we can dive into all that, and you can create an SOP for each one of those. And then you can get into creating the, let's say, Word documents, Google Docs for each one of these. Like, hey, these are, when you're interacting with the customer, these are the things you might want to have. Sales pitch, close sale, follow up, all that stuff. Fulfillment officer SOP. Okay. So order the receipt, order preparation, package, dispatch, track, and you can come up with and add things that are more custom to your company. And then you start coming up with all the standard operating procedures for everything. You could ask it to put it into some kind of nice document, and then, or multiple documents, one for each. And now you have some kind of SOPs, right? So that's a good example for operations. Let's see, market research. All right, let's go into HR and hiring. So you might know kind of what are the top traits that you may have, you may want for a new person you hire. So a good way of doing it is you've kind of figured out with all your workforce, what are the things you like about people, what are the things you don't like, or like things that they do well or don't do well. You might be able to just put all that information down. Maybe have an interview with all these people and just kind of ask them, like, what things would you like that your coworkers have, like traits about them? What kind of people do you like working with? What kind of people don't you like working with? What do you think would be most effective to having a great culture and also at the same time being very productive? Like, what would that look like? Take all those notes, throw it all into ChatGPT, and ask it, hey, from a hiring person's perspective, what are the questions I should ask to achieve all these positive things and to make sure we rule out any of these negative things? That seems to be the consensus by all the people. And it'll come up with all the questions for you. And then all you have to do is then ask it, if you want to go deeper, what's the pause? How long should I let someone answer this question? How long should the interview be to be best effective? How many interviews? And you can play around with it. Now, is it all foolproof? No, absolutely not. Everything that I'm showing you is, it needs to be tweaked one last time, and you as the final decision maker have to do it. Remember, it's whether this is an intern, whether it's GPT, whether it's anything else, you as the leader of your company or leader of your department or whatever it is, you can only delegate authority, not responsibility from a leadership standpoint. So just remember and apply that to this. You can, like, just because this is helping you and assisting you doesn't mean that you're off the hook if something goes wrong with this, right? You have to read it, make sure it makes sense with what you're doing. And now if there's any content that it comes out with that you're like, is this real? You can actually ask GPT to fact check itself. It's kind of funny, but it'll do it. And you can ask it for references and things like that, and it'll give you everything. So, and a lot of the time it'll say, like, if it asks about, if you say, who is Patrick Stanzik, it'll give me like this crazy answer. And I'd be like, please fact check this. And it'll come up with like a little bit better answer. And it'll be like, yeah, I got this wrong, this wrong, and this wrong. So for some things, it's kind of like that. Remember, GPT is only relevant to, I think, September of 2021. BARD is real time. It's just not as detailed. I would think of BARD more as like GPT 3.5, which will give you answers to things you just need, like real quick questions that you have real quick questions to. Whereas this is a lot deeper. GPT-4 is a lot deeper. Okay. Yeah, so the goal for all this stuff is you want to learn it. You want to test it with just a whole bunch of things, like let your imagination go wild and dream about things that you can replace. And then integrate it into your workflow. And then, again, just kind of as another intern, essentially, or another person that's doing this kind of work for you. All right. Let's see, HR operations, communication, sales, marketing, legal. Yeah, and then for marketing stuff, I'm going to give you an example of how we can create a whole content strategy for this cookie company. So I need you to give me again, it's being able to ask the right questions. So you already have to be kind of educated on a lot of this stuff to be able to phrase it right and to get the right answer. So what I'm doing is I need you to give me let's do a main niche that I can structure all my content around for this cookie company. And it might give me a couple. So once I have the main niche for content, like that's on brand, on everything, then I can start creating other things. And sometimes GPT goes slow and pauses and freezes and gives you errors. Just refresh the page if that ever happens. All right. Consider the rising awareness of health and wellness are niches that you could structure content around healthy gourmet cookies. People today are increasingly conscious about their eating habits, unwilling to completely give up on the cookies. They look for alternatives that are healthier but still delicious. So your content cover cookie ingredients and their health benefits, customer stories. Great. This is great. So this is great. Now I need you to give me 12 categories of content based on that niche that will correspond to 12 months of the year. Then I need you to organize the categories with, not organize. I need you to pair the categories with the month that best suits it, and explain why. Okay, so what I did now is like, okay, we have the kind of main thing we really want to touch on. Now, what are the 12 categories of content? So January is going to be new year, new health goals, because our goal is healthy gourmet cookies. Okay, so January, new year, new health goals. Discussing setting realistic health goals for the new year and how to incorporate. Great. February, heart health, aligned with American Heart Month, discuss ingredients beneficial, nutrition education, active lifestyle, mental health awareness, summer ingredients, health holidays, kids nutrition, aging and nutrition, immune boosting foods, diabetes awareness, and healthy holiday treats. And so now we have a whole entire layout of how we're going to structure our content for the year. Now, next thing we're going to do. All right. Well, we have the categories. Now I need to give me outlines for each one of the articles, or give you outlines for one article that will be written each month. Okay, so now I want to write articles for each one of these months. Okay, and I want them to give me just a whole like little outline for each one of these months. So introduce, discussion, tradition, New Year resolutions, importance of setting realistic health goals, the role of healthy eating and achieving health goals. So it's giving me a whole outline. Now I have this, and we're gonna it'll do all of it, but we're gonna say for January, write me January's article with SEO in mind. Make it, let's go with 500 words. Make it fun and at a 4th grade, or let's not go 4th grade. Let's go with 8th grade reading level and put emojis in there. Right, cookies are fun. And so we kind of want to spark that. That should be kind of the brand that I'm going with. So new year and new health goals, kickstart 2023 with cookies for all. As we say goodbye to 2022 and hello to 2023. It's that time of year again, resolution. So we have all this. Now, I'm not going to go through the rest of it, but once you have one article, guess what? Now you have 4 to 5 pieces of content that you can pull from here for social media posts for each week of the year. Now you have 52 social media posts. After you do this, 52 social media posts that you can schedule with a scheduler like, Social Bee or Hootsuite or any other free ones. I always recommend AppSumo for lifetime licenses, lifetime deals for fully updated kind of product software, SaaS products. And you can always find a scheduler on there for like $50 lifetime deal, way better than I think $50 a month starting with Hootsuite, and you get all the products. All the features, I mean. And then look in here now, and the next thing I would do is add references and other things and have them insert them throughout the article. So when I post it, and maybe some hashtags, right? And when I post it, it's going to actually have the sources. It's going to be smart enough. It's going to be, let's call it 80, 90% of like the way there, or sometimes it's going to be a lot better than you're going to be able to write, because there's just so much stuff you have to do for your business and you want it to be constant, fresh and all that this is going to be pretty awesome. Our wholesale cookies are baked with heart healthy ingredients like oats, almonds, and dark chocolate, help lower cholesterol. Remember, and it's focusing on that focus for January that we know aligns so well. And then you do your social media posts, and now you have a very good foundation built. The next thing you do is a full newsletter and things like that. Another crazy thing is you can ask it to write you a 50,000 page book. All right. And it'll give you a full outline of that book. That's what you start with, and all the chapters and what should be in them. And then for each chapter, you can just have it write one chapter at a time. And anytime it stops and runs out of like room and doesn't finish its thoughts, just ask, please finish your thoughts, or please finish the response. And it'll continue, because there's a limit to how many words it can output at one given time, because you could only do about 25 questions and answers every hour. So it's pretty awesome. You can write multiple chapters of like thousands of words in one day. Now for books, the best ones that sell are ones that actually could put your heart into, right? So not necessarily recommend it, although a lot of people are doing this and selling it on Amazon, and it's working a little bit for them. Probably some great success stories that I haven't seen, but personally, but I'm sure they're out there. Let's go into anybody have any questions or actual practical application things that they would like me to do and show you, something you've thought of that would be awesome if you didn't have to do anymore, and I can show you an actual example of how to do those. Go ahead, throw them in the chat, and I'll get to them. And then in the meantime, I'm also going to show you let's see. We're going to go into BARD as well, and I'm going to show you some of the outputs for that. So again, this one's not primed, so you got to bear with that, but I'm going to do, this is an outline for January's article for my cookie company. I need you to create a 500-word article that's at a 8th grade reading level, that is fun and full of emojis. Now, the great part about BARD is it is real time. So it does use real time data from across the internet. What are all the sources and things? I'm not sure, but it does that, and it doesn't work like GPT. It doesn't like write as it go like slowly. There's a big pause, and then it just shoots it all out. So this, yeah, and the cool thing about BARD when it comes to articles and other things, it gives you photos and things that are links. So this is a link. So if I click this, it takes me to this right here, which is awesome. So this looks a little bit different. When you copy paste from BARD, you always get this gray background. When you copy paste from, sorry, not BARD, GPT, you get the gray background. If you copy paste from BARD, you do not. So that's something really cool to look at as well. And you could also ask for resources and things like that. Is it good? Is it bad? And there's no limit on BARD, or I have yet to reach one for how many prompts you give it. Now with GPT, there's 25 limit to GPT-4, but there are no limits to GPT 3.5. Bing AI looks some different. So how to start a cookie company. It came up with answers, but again, these are more generic, more like a GPT 3.5 than it is, the 4, which is just a lot more detailed, and it comes up with large paragraphs describing everything, and you don't have to ask for it specifically, and does a really good idea. So another cool thing you could do is if you have, since this is unlimited, my workflow is if I were to copy paste this, I would copy this into BARD, ask it, please rewrite this so I can copy paste it into a Google document. And then it just puts it in here and it keeps all the structure to it. It'll keep the whole structure to it when you copy it over. You don't have to, because normally what you have to do is you have to pull up some kind of document, like a text document or something, copy paste GPT into it, or at least that's the way I do it. And then you copy it over, all that structure, like all the spacing, the bold words, the image, all that stuff goes away when you copy paste it. When you, not completely all of it, like emojis stay and things like that. But when you copy paste it from BARD, you're good. It all keeps. And so that's kind of the frustrating part sometimes when you copy paste it. And then, yeah, or you can copy paste it into a Word doc, Google Doc, and then make all your final adjustments there before you paste into your final place as well. And so this is pretty good too, right? A new year is a great time to set new health goals. Maybe you want to lose weight, eat healthier, get more exercise, what your goals are. It's important to make them realistic and achievable, why healthy cookies are a good idea. And you can kind of go back and forth. Go do it in GPT first, throw it in here, be like, can you improve this? They might do some stuff. Then you throw it back, be like, I need, you can play with both of them. And they kind of, with a symbiotic kind of relationship there by bouncing ideas off one another. And it's pretty good. And yeah, any questions, you guys can throw them in the chat. And then right now, let's see. For anybody who does programming, you can actually ask it for code. So an example that I use all the time is when I'm organizing large quantities of data. Let's pull it up. Okay, I'll pull up the document. So basically what I did is I use, and I don't know if you guys know this, Google Sheets has extensions that has, and Google document things have extensions that's called app scripts. So you can throw in full scripts. So this is a document that I have for a lot of scripts. Like for example, I have a list, let's say a list of, almost 6,000 rows in it. And I needed to separate it into 198 tabs with 30 rows each. That would be a pain to do. And so I just named the sheet 1. I figure out what's going to be the new tab's names. It's going to be tab plus I+1, right? And so on. And so I just throw this in there and it runs it. How about splitting rows? Also, it could remove duplicate emails, duplicate things from rows. You have custom formulas for formatting if you want. And it'll just come up with all the stuff and it works right out of the box for the most part. If you start getting into more complex things, I do have a slower time, but it does a really good job, even for a lot of coding languages. Let's see what else we got here. Yeah. So if you're studying for something, so this is kind of cool. If you're studying for something, you need a lot of answers and citations and things like that. Let's say you're studying for an exam, you can have it ask you questions and explain to you why the questions were right or wrong by just inputting everything. It has a lot of that. A lot of the information is public, so it should have it as part of its data source, and you'll be able to just ask it questions or have it ask you questions, right? Either way, and you can come up with a lot of the answers. Maybe it'll come up with video links for you to actually, check all that out. So let's see what else we got. Yeah, creative writing. So we can do poetry, stories, scripts, and things like that. You can do chatbots, virtual assistants, programming stuff. Yeah, it's great for debugging as well. Like, why isn't this piece of code working? Throw it in there, ask it. It'll give you the answer essentially. For the most part, I only personally do like PHP, HTML, CSS, a little bit of JavaScript, and with this, I'm more like on a day-to-day basis. With this, it just throw all that stuff in there, have it create all the basic stuff for you. That will take you, I guess the coined term here is now what you can do in 4 hours, you can do in 4 minutes with AI. So that's really what it does. You can do posts, social media updates, responses, chat bots, architecture training processes, and basically anything and everything you do on a day-to-day basis. If you do it more than once, or even if you're doing it that one time, just ask yourself, can I improve this with GPT, with BARD, with some kind of AI? And if the answer is yes, or I'd like to, or maybe, or that'd be awesome, then go try it out. That's really the issue here. Now, yeah, some negative things that might come down the line, misuse. What does copyright login look like? Like, well, what if you create stuff and it's the same as somebody else's? You could tell that it's written by AI. Guess what? Just change the reading level, and that's automatically going to essentially adjust it for you, right? Like, it's gonna, if you most people don't adjust that reading level, and so because of that, it kind of sounds right out of the box whatever it's defaulted to. If you ask it for a college reading level, a doctorate's reading level, or something like that, it will be quite a bit different, and ask for sources as well. Throw all that stuff in there. Basically, any content thing, anything that you used to brainstorm for hours just to potentially come up with an idea that might not be the best. Crowdsourcing, this helps facilitate that a lot and move through the process quicker. It's something everybody should have in their workflow day to day, and that's it. So I ran into some technical difficulties at the very beginning of this, and I really apologize for it. It was my first one. They're going to get better from here on. Realize that LinkedIn doesn't even have a native live function. You have to get a third party. So you see one of my tabs is StreamYard, and that's what I'm using to stream this. So which is I think good, because you get to keep all the content, change it all, but it's just different. So this is my first one. It's going to get better and better. I'd love to hear all of your comments and how I can improve, what things you'd like to hear about. I have expertise in a lot of different areas, from web hosting, web development, and design, to like fractional CMO works. Any big milestones in marketing, I have some kind of experience with. I've been doing for about 6 years now with my own company. And it's awesome. Thank you, everyone, for attending, and thank you everybody for signing up. Like I said, if you guys want to hear anything, please let me know. I will put in the chat and edit this. We did just stand up our hosting company last week. So we have a full-blown web hosting company now that we own, and we're offering, it's all for free, private cloud hosting, and or like high-end cloud hosting, very fast. We're benchmarked as fastest cloud hosting companies out there. better than most. And yeah, we're offering 3 months for free right now to kind of get people to subscribe. Check it out. We're doing free migrations. If you have any issues with your hosting company, you have to constantly go to support. We have not had issues since we launched with beta testing at the beginning of the year with about 15 clients, and it's going really well. 3 months free private cloud hosting, and then after that, it's $50 a month, and we can handle pretty much anything you'll throw at us. We even have a higher tier hosting where you're going to be able to host. I think the benchmark was about 100,000 products, and because it's all dynamic, which just means it adjusts with you pretty easily at a higher tier package. So we're here. We want everybody to host with us. I think we're awesome, and we're working on becoming a registrar as well, because I know it's a big leap for everybody to still be with somebody else and not have the hosting. So we're working on that. We'll have that soon. But 3 months free hosting for anybody that's not super happy, has had security issues and things like that, or SSL, and they're tired of paying $100 a year for SSL. That's for free for us. Yeah, please contact me. I'll throw some stuff in the chat that you guys can contact me. Message me privately on LinkedIn. And that's it. Thank you, everybody. Till next time.